What are you supposed to do with your life when your dad is Seiichiro Honda? Yeah, that's Seiichiro Honda, founder of Honda Motor Company. Do you hang 10 on the coattails of your hugely successful daddy? Or do you go off and make a name for yourself? Well, if you're Toshi Honda, you go start one of the most successful engine building, custom parts making, works motorcycle creating companies of all time. This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on not Mugen, not Megan, not Morgan, Mugen! Big old thanks to Honey for sponsoring this week's episode of Up to Speed. When I play video games, I use cheat codes to win because I can't stand losing to Nolan. Honey is like the cheat code for online shopping. So Honey will automatically find you a coupon code, sale or discount on over 20,000 sites like Amazon, eBay, or Auto Parts Warehouse. Check out this sweet deal I got on a PS4 so I don't have to play Nolan on Xbox anymore. It's free and super easy to install. Just head over to joinhoney.com/donutmedia and download it for your brow. Now, back to the story. The story of Mugen can begin with the story of Honda. In 1948, Seiichiro Honda formed the Honda Motor Company and started producing motorcycles in a small 170 square foot shack. Some might have thought that was a bad idea given the motorcycle game at the time was highly saturated in the Far East, but his newly formed company was his baby and he wasn't gonna abandon it. His bikes soon gained popularity for their good looks, reliability, and ease of use, and soon Honda would go on to become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer, and by 1964 was already in full swing in the automobile game. During that time, Seiichiro was also shaping another baby, an actual human one. His one and only son, Toshi Honda. Like his father, young Toshi acquired a passion for cars, motorcycles, and racing. But he was never forced to follow in his father's footsteps. A place in the Honda empire wasn't gonna be given to him either. Seiichiro saw how the sons of other successful men could easily become failures in their family businesses, and he didn't want that to happen to his only child. I wish that my father, a certain very famous British car host, wouldn't have forced me to be a car host. The young and rebellious Toshi didn't want to join the family business. He wanted to travel the world, race motorcycles and cars, and be chill. Mahalo, baby. But you can only mahalo baby for so long. Been there, bro, Toshi. Toshi was back in Japan, finishing up college and working in his dad's workshop, building a Honda S800 race car. The kind of stuff you do in your off time at college. He had a passion for tuning the engines made in the factories bearing his last name, and in 1973, Toshi formed Mugen Company Limited of Japan. Mugen in Japanese means unlimited, and the company was also referred to as Mugen Power or Unlimited Power! The Mugen team set out to develop the best race car engines coming out of Japan. Toshi hired a former Honda R&D and racing service mechanic, Masao Kimura, to be his chief designer and engineer. During his time with Honda, Masao built over 15 different race cars and motorcycles and had over 50 race wins to his credit. Not a bad guy to have you help out when starting your first engine tuning company. Okay, basically, he was the perfect guy for the job. And tune engines they did. The very first race engine they developed was the MF318, Honda's 1169cc four-banger. The Mugen team took the docile 68 horsepower per EB1 and bumped it up to a blistering 133 horsepower. The MF318 had a dry sump lubrication system, dual carbs, and was bored out to a maximum 1300 cc's, which was allowed in Formula FJ 1300 racing. Hence the name. I should go back and correct myself a little. I said they tuned engines. That's a bit misleading. Every single part of the stock EB1 was either modified or completely remade in-house by Mugen. To call them simply a tuner would be unfair and disrespectful. My apologies. In December 1973, Mugen entered a car with the MF318 into the entry-level Formula FJ 1300 series and won their first race. They would go on to use that same motor and car for the next 5 years. It was that good. Their success in the FJ series did a few things for Mugen. It got Daddy Honda interested in the company. The backbone of the Mugen race cars were Honda's motors, and at the time, the Honda factory team was on a racing hiatus. That means a break. They saw the Mugen brand as a way to get back into the game. Mugen continued to work on Civic engines, but in 1975, they saw a market for other race parts and began selling their first body kits. You want your Civic to look like the Mugen one on track? No problem, because you could order a custom Japanese-made body kit and spice up your first-gen Civic in a jiff. This was unheard of at the time. While continuing to work on the MF318 and race in the FJ 1300 series, Toshi had enough capital coming in to expand his efforts into other passions of his. Motocross! Yeah! Mugen went to work on their own custom two-stroke dirt bike, the ME125 and the ME250. Based on the CR250 Elsinore, the ME250 was by today's standards an all-works machine with a modified frame, engine, and suspension components. In September of 1976, Mugen entered their all-works ME250 bike into the final race of the All Japan Motocross Nationals, the Japanese Grand Prix, and they won! And when you're a 2-year-old company that goes out and wins a major national competition in its first year of racing against the likes of Yamaha, Suzuki, and your daddy's company Honda, people start to take a notice, okay? People are like, what? Mugen was like that hot girl in every 90s movie that walks into a party and everything gets all slow motion-y. Suzuki's all like, dang, who is that? And Yamaha's like, wow, 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 wow. And Honda's like, chill out guys, that's my son. But the ME250 was expensive compared to its CR250 brother. So a year later, doing what Mugen does best, they began selling engine power-up kits. More power, baby! The kit included a new cylinder head, expansion pipe, piston, rings, gaskets, and clutch components. Between the motocross bikes, the body kits, and the race engines, Mugen was rolling in cabbage. And in 1979, they expanded and opened up their own factory in Japan. But like my greedy brother Lars, Mugen had its hands in multiple cookie jars. By 1980, Toshi had his own motocross team and was looking to expand into the American market. They signed up-and-coming racer Johnny O'Mara to pilot an ME125 RZ in the States. Johnny, wearing all-white gear aboard his all-white Mugen bike, looked like a freaking prince and went on to win the US Grand Prix of the World GP Motocross Series that year. It was huge for the program and cemented the Mugen brand in the States as the motocross bike to have. And what was even cooler, you could buy the same bike that Johnny was riding. This was unheard of. Even today, there's no way that you can just go down to the dealership and get an all-works factory racing motorcycle. It just doesn't work like that. Okay, enough motorcycle stuff. You're here for cars, so let's get back to Civics. Just because the motocross program was getting a lot of attention, Mugen didn't want to stray away from the love of their humble Civic. They were big in the Civic one-make race. Because the cost to get a Civic race-worthy was low, it was a great way to get people racing. And Mugen was selling racing kits that transformed your showroom floor Civic into a Suzuka circuit track machine. Just watch and listen to this clip of the first Civic one-make race. It sounds like a bunch of bees making out with each other. By 1984, Mugen was full bore into selling parts like body kits, wheels, suspension. This was also the first year you could get Mugen parts in the USA. You could walk into your local Honda dealership and order custom Mugen parts sent directly from Japan, which is pretty freaking cool. By 1985, 10 years before Post Malone was born, Mugen was building motors for the CRX to compete in the SCCA GT4 class. Mugen took the 1.5-liter EW motors and got it from a stock 76 horsepower to a super ripped, testosterone-fueled 165 buff-ass horses. The car dominated the class and got Americans all hot and bothered. People wanted more of that Mugen race stuff. But dominating the FJ 1300 and SCCA GT4 and Civic One Make races gets boring. So they expanded into Formula Car racing. The All Japan Formula 3000 Championship allowed for V8 engines. So Mugen went off and built a V8 engine, and they called it the MF308. By the way, if you've been wondering what MF means, I don't know. Leave a comment below. If you do know, I'm gonna guess it stands for Morgan Freeman. So, the Morgan Freeman 308 is a 3-liter, 32-valve, 500 horsepower monster revving up to 10,500 RPM. And it was used in the series until 2005. Quick math? That's 17 years, baby boy! A motor used in a racing series for 17 years is insane. That's how good it was. All right, we get it. Mugen, you're good at making motors. What could you possibly do next? I think I know. Okay, what? Formula E? Yeah, you know the story. You helped write the episode. In 1991, Mugen built their first F1 race motor, the Morgan Freeman 351H, a 3.5-liter, 40-valve V10 that put out over 700 horsepower. At the end of 1992, Honda had pulled out of Formula One, but Mugen continued to supply various race teams up until the year 2000. I might add that during this time, Mugen was still racing Civics in the JTC 3 class, not against Skylines. And they were winning races, the 96 and 97 championships, while taking what they learned on the racetrack and supplying those custom-made parts for the masses, i.e., you and me, boys and girls. From exhaust to wheels to aero kits, the Mugen catalog was deep. Hey, boss, we're about to go home. You need anything else? Start working on some concept cars. Here's some ideas I just drew on this cocktail napkin. Bye. Oh man, we were almost out. I should have asked if he needed anything else. He always does stuff like this. I don't know, you want to order pizza? Yeah, but I'm using a company card. You may be familiar with some of the concept cars Mugen has made over the years, like the 1992 Mugen NSX, an all-carbon composite version of the production NSX. They got rid of the pop-up headlights, which was a bad move. Pop up and down headlights. Pop up and down headlights. Pop up and down headlights. The Mugen NSX concept really paved the way for them to start making more Mugen concept cars. And they used their concept cars to further drive sales of their custom parts. The model they created was beautiful. Take the cars you already modify for Honda in the racing game, further develop them with your custom parts. Take those parts and create concept cars that will never be released, and have people banging on your doors, freaking begging you to sell them your spoilers, your wheels, your crankshafts, and anything else that made your common Honda look and perform like a Mugen. They created so much hype with their concept cars, they eventually started selling limited production number Mugen badge cars from the factory. Like this one, the 2007 Honda Civic Mugen RR, a Civic Type R at its core with all the special Mugen engineering bits added on. Mugen cranked out 15 more horsepower from the already solid 225 horsepower Civic Type R. They shed 22 pounds by way of carbon composite bumper and grills. Mugen made 300 of these cars, only available in Japan, of course, and for a price of nearly $50,000 for a Civic. You think that's expensive? Well, the car sold out in 10 minutes. And that is what makes Mugen, Mugen. Thanks for watching Up to Speed. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, guys. If you didn't watch this, I would just be a weirdo yelling about cars to my friend. Also, what's your favorite Mugen car? Let me know in the comments below. I love you. Well, so anyone can drive it. The shifter can easily be moved from this side of the seat to that side, depending on which one you're used to. That's just considerate. The center drive Civic is currently driven by Formula Drift driver / friend of Donut, Dai Yoshihara. What's up, Dai?
James, stop telling people we're friends.